Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin, not on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
So we mentioned it very, very briefly last week, but we're going to talk a little bit about more, is that the fact that in a couple weeks, hopefully not next week, but maybe the week after, we will be seeing some Trencher stuff, which I am excited. For me...
I was going to say, has the raging boner, since you heard about it on Primecast, subsided yet?
Only so much. It's only gone down just a little bit. I think I'm... So I was excited to hear about the Trencher stuff, right? I like the idea of the Trenchers. I liked my Trenchers in Mark 1, hated them in Mark 2. Mark 3, I'm really enjoying them. And then my favorite thing out of it is the fact that we are finally getting Siege 2. And I am so insanely excited about it. I've been so excited about it. I've been harassing everybody to give me any information possible about Siege 2.
So one of the things about Siege 2 I wanted to ask you about, because you like the second Siege 2 was announced, you were like blowing up my phone. Is there at one point in time there was like this, like, I don't know if it was a fan art picture or a PP picture. It looked like there was this tank thing going on. Is that going to be Siege 2?
So I don't think so. I think that weird tank thing might actually be the structure.
The picture of Siege is the one where...
I think it's the one right below it.
It was either the last no quarter or the no quarter before the last one. And they put up those weird Crixian runes, and it had like the troll Northkin bomber dude in it. And they had a picture that was kind of obscure. That's Siege 2.
It was the picture that was right below that tank thing. So because all we know about Siege 2 right now is that there is a turret that he comes with, and he can deploy that turret out. Not sure anything else right now about Siege 2.
The turret is a tank.
That would be ridiculous. No, but
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that it's a, what the hell do they call it, where something's closer to the picture looks bigger. Maybe it was Siege standing behind the turret, but the turret's closer, so it looked like a tank.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, but either way, I'm so excited. I'm hoping we'll be able to see some art pretty soon for him, or we'll be able to see some spoilers. I mean, I know that their stuff's coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks, and I know there's a good chance that stuff will change as it goes through the playtest. But my hope is that as soon as the playtest comes out, I'm hoping by then I'll actually be in a good position to start playing some games to be able to do that, because I'm so excited for Siege 2, and if there is even a hint that Siege 2 might be at lock and load, I will be so ecstatic, and I would be...
You're gonna fly out there and get them?
Dude, if I could, I would.
Only 42 days till lock and load.
See, only 42 days, that means that there's a good chance, right, that the model could come out during lock and load, right?
I mean, it's the beginning of the month. Don't we start getting some spoilers and pictures at the beginning of the month of new release stuff?
I think so, yeah. I think we might.
Yeah, because it's usually, I want to say it's the first week of the month is usually when Privateer Press puts up on their, like when you go onto their Privateer Press page, they have the coming soon models or new releases or whatever, and that's usually where we get to see the first images of the studio product images being posted, and that's kind of where we can sometimes get some spoilers. Usually the community knows about it way before those, but maybe you'll see something there, something fully painted by Mr. Dallas or any of the other painters that they have. I'm super excited for you. Like, I'm not excited about the concept of the list, but this is one of those situations where I'm excited for a friend, because I know that you like Trenchers so much, and not only are you getting like your favorite caster mixed with Trenchers, but you're getting like new Trenchers. Like, it's not just a rehash of, hey, those Trencher models you have, you can throw them in. We're also giving you Trencher long gunners.
Yeah, which I was surprised. I did not think we were going to get this many new Trencher models. We're getting Trencher long gunners, which seems really interesting. Side note to that, I think it completely invalidates no more long gunners now. like we didn't see long gunners in lists before. I feel like this might make them even less exciting to be in lists.
I think it's a legitimately a timely marketing strategy of, hey, we're going to release trencher long gunners in this new plastic kit, and oh, by the way, look, they make regular long gunner plastics too.
Yeah, and that could be it. But we're getting that. We're getting a new solo. We're gonna get a dog attachment, which is awesome.
You stole a dog from Kador, and you stole a troll from Trollbloods.
I know,
you
and
fucking Steelers.
And we're getting another weapon crew. It sounds like where it's going to be a troll that's going to be shooting a gun, which I love. I love the idea that because it's like they had said it in the Primecast, but it's always been so like Signar is supposed to be the most open out of all the factions, bringing multiple like a huge diversity, but you only really ever saw it on the table with the Gobbers. Like you saw Gobbers on the table in Signar, like within the faction itself, but you really never saw anything else. And they did a little bit more with the Trencher Buster, and that was cool. But now we're starting to see even more, which I'm really excited about the diversity. I would love for them to come out with a Trencher unit that was just mixed between the different races. I think that would be awesome.
So Devin, how do you feel about a new Trollblood model coming out that you'll never be able to use?
To be fucking honest, it's just another thing where we see Signar gets all the toys and everybody else gets fucked over.
Hey, Signar players, keep your hands off other people's shit.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, physically, it was like Boomhowler and stuff played more for Signar than he ever did for Trolls, and we still can't even get fucking Partisan.
Yeah,
but
because in Mark 1,
why not give that Mark 2? I hate to tell you, it was called Merknar for a very long time.
Hey, I'm just saying in Mark 1, Boomhowler kind of didn't get along with the Trolls at all, and he wasn't allowed in any of their lists before, so you should be excited that at least he's allowed in their lists.
Well, all I'm going to say is I am not like the regular, abused wife who basically is like, well, at least he's not trying to kill me. Signar basically has taken anything they want from anybody else, and it's just one of those things like it's just become a fucking joke. It's like, Menoth haven't even seen hide nor hair of their Colossal, but yet Signar is pulling units from other fucking armies now. It's
too soon.
Oh yeah, because Kevin is finally drinking the Menoth Kool-Aid.
Fucking A. Like, I legitimately saw somebody in...
Kevin. Don't be surprised if that shit shows up in Signar within the next 40
Fucking Signar players shaving off the Menite symbol and throwing their goddamn swans on the shoulder pads. Fucking bastards.
Hey, man. That's what happens. It's good to be the king.
It's Signar had this situation where Boomhowler was working in and he stole a rocket launcher. And then they felt the need of, since he stole a rocket launcher from us, we're going to steal everything from everybody.
I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually. You're right. I agree with it. It's a good strategy. Don't take our fucking rocket launcher. And hold on. Menoth actually stole Signar's arc notability as well, okay? So Menoth kind of started a lot of that bullshit.
Would absolutely love if a viewer could just do a picture. I would actually pay somebody to do this, just to have Stryker and maybe even Haley just sitting on the front porch of a plantation home and just all the other factions working in the fields.
That is fucked up.
I would pay for that picture.
That is messed up.
Anyways, so one of the things that I think also we need to keep in mind, because we're super excited about trenchers and all this stuff, but I almost wonder if the Trencher theme book is going to be the first theme book that we get in the game, and they've said that they're going to do other theme books like Man of War theme book and so on and so forth. Is it going to be a case of special Snowflake Signar players get a bunch of new models with their theme book, and then when other theme book come out, it's going to be here's a new Jack or here's a new Solo or something like that? Or is it going to be a case of every time a new theme book comes out, we're going to get this influx of new models, a new unit, a new solo, a new character, you know, a bunch of stuff that comes with it. Like, are these going to be mini anthologies for the faction where here's a new book and here's a slew of models you're getting with it?
So I think for the first round, for the main factions, yes, I think you will get a slew of things. And I mean, you know, the 4 core for Warmachine, the 4 core for Hordes. I think they'll say, hey, here's Man of War, and hey, here's a bunch of different things for Man of War. You know, here's Cataphracts, I think is what they're called for Caraphracts for Scorn.
Cataphracts.
Yeah, there might be like one of those books, right? And you get a bunch of different things for that. You know, I'm not sure for Trolls what, you know, maybe a Finblade theme. That would be kind of cool.
I think it's supposed to be the Northkin theme.
Oh, so yeah, so the Northkin. So you'll see a bunch of different Northkin things. I think for the core factions, I think the first round we'll see that. And I could see them getting less and less every single round, maybe. Like, hey, you know, we're really exploring this. All right, maybe now this year will we put out too many models, so now maybe the next time we need to put a little bit less. I don't see it necessarily happening for Convergence. I don't see it really. I could see it happening more for Mercenaries and possibly Hordes. I mean, possibly Minions, but I really don't see a ton of models coming out for like Convergence, or if Grimkin were to ever get one, which I don't think they will.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious about that because it's one of those situations of, you know, setting the expectations. Do people get super excited about, I'm getting a bunch of new releases when my theme book comes out? Or is it a case of, oh, Signar got a bunch of new releases and the rest of us get shit?
I just don't see them doing that. I don't know. I really don't think that they would do that at all.
So, I don't know. It's a thing. And then you get there's a brand new model type now. You know, I wouldn't say hasn't ever existed in the game, because structures did exist in the game before, but it's now a purchasable terrain piece.
Yep.
I've heard it described as terrain piece. I've also heard it described as an immobile battle engine piece. And to me, it kind of feels more like the immobile battle engine piece, because a terrain piece to me implies that you can somehow put other models into it. Like, here's a swamp, or here's a pond, and I can put models into the pond to get my amphibious concealment or something like that. Whereas this feels like an actual, closer to a battle engine of, here is a model, 120 model, that gives me benefits, support auras, gunshots, whatever the case might be. It's just immobile. Like, it's basically a mobile battle engines more than terrain pieces.
And I'm curious as to how it's going to play, because I think it's interesting in the fact that hey, it's this like model that's out there. But is it going to be, hey, I place this model here, and either A, nobody comes around that, or they just destroy really quick and I don't have enough resources to move stuff around? Because it's a structure. It doesn't move at all. You know, how far can you place it into an area? You know, what can you really do with it? Can you put it halfway up the field, but it can't activate the first turn of the game or something like that? You know, I'm wondering what it's going to look like. You know, especially with how they're focusing so much on making sure that we have a ton of terrain. Will this even be a good model to put on the table? Because there's so many forests and buildings. Am I really going to be able to put this out where it's going to be an effective piece?
Yes, in my opinion. I heard some people complaining that, you know, well, it's going to have a set gun range, and, you know, you can just measure out the gun range and not be in it. That's cool, but if the person who has this terrain piece can put it into a place, because we don't know how it works, we don't know if it gets put on the AD line or where it gets put, but if a person can put this encampment or this gun encampment in a place where, cool, if you enter into this zone in order to contest me, I can shoot you. If you don't enter, cool, I can't shoot you, but I'm scoring. So, like, will it be able to contribute to the army? Yes, it's going to be in a lot of ways a control piece if it has the ability to do significant range damage. And I legitimately think that's going to be one of the things that will make or break structures. Is it limited to deployment area, like the crab? What are the little graboids? I forgot their name all of a sudden.
I'm not sure.
Hellmouse. Is
Oh.
it going to be limited to Hellmouth range, or is it going to be something where it's like I can deploy it within my half of the table edge? Because let's face it, you put a 120 in even in your advanced deploy, it's not going to contribute to the game. The only way it contributes to the game is if they've decided to make a play for something well within your half of the table.
Have we seen if this is going to be available to everybody, or is this faction specific, or is it game specific? Like, is this something that's only, because as I said, I did not listen to the Primecast. I've just been catching information secondhand from U2 as well as some of the forums, but I haven't seen any information and I hadn't heard any information on with the structure being available. Is this just Warmachine? It's, I'm not 100% sure, like, where it's qualifying or what, where you pull it into your list,
Yeah.
On the Privateer Press podcast, they said we're introducing a new model type. So it wasn't a scenario of we're introducing a new Signar model. They were talking about specifically a new type of model. It's not infantry, it's not colossal, it's not battle engine, it's a structure. So that leads me to believe that this isn't something that only Signar benefits from, because it was like we're introducing a new model type. The first new one is the outhouse. I don't know what it's called, but from now on I'll call it the Signar outhouse.
I keep wanting to call it a brick house. I'm like, no, that's in Warjack.
No, I'm going to go with outhouse. So the Signar outhouse is the first one, but I don't think it's going to be delimited to only that one. Whether it crosses over to Warmachine versus Hordes, their past actions would tell me that they are going to cross it over, because I don't think there is a model type that exists between Warmachine and Horde exclusively, with the exception of War Beast versus Warjack, Warcaster versus Warnown, or Warlock. But there's always infantry. There's always colossal gargantuans. There's always some sort of equivalency to it. Battle engines on both sides, infantry on both sides, solos on both sides. I don't see this being something that Hordes doesn't benefit from. I'm already kind of having visions of like the circle players getting some sort of, like, you always see in circle art, there's like these stone summoning circles that they always do their rituals from, seeing something like that as their structure, and that could easily go into some sort of like black clad theme thing where it's like, here's a bunch of black clads and black clad stuff, and by the way, here's the black clad magical altar structure thing that shoots lightning out its ass. And
that would be kind of cool to shot lightning out of its ass.
It would be really crazy. It would be like 3 black clads surrounding it, and then maybe some floating orbs, and then it uses like different elements. That would be a really cool model.
Nobody likes you.
And that's kind of like, I draw a parallel more to this being like a mobile battle engines than terrain pieces. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that they're already introducing answers to this problem, or there are already things in the game that introduce answers to structures in the form of like Marauders, the Siege Crawler gun, Siege himself. So it's not a situation of they're introducing a new model type and there's no counter to it. They've already introduced counters in the game, and theoretically they can introduce more as more theme lists come out. So that'll be an interesting thing to see happen. I see the Karchev and 8 Marauders going, sure, bring your Signar outhouse. I'd love it.
Yeah, it's like, this would be great.
Fuck off.
And like, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I guess the one thing I'm thinking of though is Siege's the only one that can actually damage structures in the game now, correct? Because they've changed all the other ones.
Marauders, siege cannons.
I thought Marauders and siege cannons, their ability changed. I thought didn't it change to
changed to damaging huge bases? Guess what the structure's on?
Oh, so it's all huge bases. Okay, I didn't realize if it was just specific to.
Yeah, it's not a model type. It's huge bases.
Okay, damn it! Why can't Siege 1 just deal with all huge bases?
Because not everybody has access to Siege 1.
I'm okay with that. Not everyone has access to the Marauder.
Everybody should just start playing Signar, is what you're saying?
Hey man, not everyone has access.
Not only are you stealing models, but now you're stealing players.
Dude, it happens. Everyone wants to be with the big old blue.
No. Nope.
The big old blue is trolls, okay? You guys are the small, innate, thieving blue.
Hey, just remember what blue came first.
Trolls.
Not you guys.
Trolls
Not in
did.
the game.
Trolls did. The Mulgar were around long before Signar was ever even a thing.
Not on the actual table. God damn it.
I don't think anybody was playing the old big blue back in the original table. I'm pretty sure it was just Sorsha.
I definitely played them back then. Kane
I was
won.
gonna say Vlad won used to wreck face Mark won.
I know.
It's obnoxious. Anyways, so we've kind of drone on about this, and we're already well over half of our cast. So why don't we move on?
All right. Well, what else do you want to talk about?
Well, nonetheless, we're excited about that. So one of the things that we've kind of been bashing around, a little pulling back the curtain, if you will, for advanced maneuvers. There are many a times where we come and we have a plan and we have a guest or something like that. There's also times where we'll hop onto to a recording and we're like, the fuck are we going to talk about?
And that happens more often.
That happens more often than not. So one of the things we were thinking about doing is doing a little bit of providing structure to it, I don't want to call it a schedule because a schedule really feels like rigid, like if you don't do this, F off, you're doing it wrong. But more providing a structure to the way what topics we're going to talk about. And that way, we have a little bit of insight of, okay, it's week 3, we know what we're going to talk about in week 3. I think Chain Attack did something like this, or maybe it was Muse. One of the other podcasts added something.
I think it was Chain Attack. I think
where they basically had a schedule of topics of like week 1 will always be about this, and week 2 will always be about this. So one of the things that the three of us were kind of hashing out was the concept of that schedule and what we were thinking about doing, and we want the opinions of our fans, so please feel free to weigh in on this. Does this sound like a good idea or does this not sound like a good idea? And we'll start kicking it off if enough people seem to be okay with the concept. Is that week 1 we're going to be basically talking about lists. We kind of discuss what lists are going on in the community. Maybe we talk about lists that we are playing at the time, lists that for the upcoming theme. I imagine when the Trencher theme comes out, we'll take that as an opportunity to talk about the Trencher theme and what lists might be coming out of that. And then, bringing guests on to talk about lists that they may have played, or if we get an opportunity to bring on guests who maybe participate in the national meta and go to a tournament and win with the list, bringing them on to have them talk about that. But basically kind of getting some list discussions, which is something we haven't done a lot of lately. And I think that's a missed opportunity to kind of hash out, like, what lists are out there and what works and how do they work.
So would we be calling in guest on?
I legitimately, for all of these weeks, I think the topics are generic enough that you're not necessarily going to be stuck with one. Like, you're not going to have a scenario where you can't have multiple people coming on.
Okay.
You could have a guest come on for any of these topics, really. But yeah, we could bring guest on for lists if he has something that he wants to share.
Guest on. Anytime he comes on here, he's guest on.
His guest on? Okay, his guest on. Week 2, I coined the term understanding, but basically understanding is where we talk about, we have discussions or debates about things that are trending in the gaming community. Maybe it's a touchy subject that's happening, like when the Privateer Press, the PG program was called to a close. That would be a topic that would be discussed during the Understanding week. Maybe there's a concern that's being discussed in the community about how structures are the horrible thing. They're just not working properly, and we can hash that out. Maybe the CID discussions could be happening during that time period. But basically, just taking an opportunity to go, these are some of the things, if you're not aware of, that are being discussed in the community, please, let's have a talk about it. Let's have a conversation, because that's one of the biggest things about these podcasts is it's an opportunity to have a discussion with fellow gamers via the discussion pieces either in the Facebook feed or on the YouTube channel comment section, getting the discussion going. Week 3 would be community, things that we can talk about to basically improve your community, what's happening in the national community, if it's something that's coming up that's going to be a change, like SR17 will be a huge impact to the community. And then this is another opportunity where we might bring on guests from other communities, like what's the New England meta like? What's the Florida meta like? What's the, the UK meta like? And bringing on guests to talk about their communities and some of the things that they're doing. And again, just getting the conversation going, getting the discussion going. And then week 4 would be keep painting, and this is actually something that hits home for a couple of people, which is a lot of people tend to paint while they're listening to this podcast, but sometimes it's a scenario of just having a discussion about hobby tips or tricks. What are we working on when it comes to hobby? Like what are we working on? What's on our painting tables? What new things coming out? This could be a scenario where we bring on guests like maybe Dallas Kemp or some of the people, Shoshi Bauer or any of the other, high-level painters that are on the Warmachine and Hordes painting group as guests to just kind of talk about what's it like being painting, maybe having conversations about commission paintings, what hobby projects are in place, what terrain pieces are people building or working on, or whatever the case might be. Because I don't think hobby gets enough time in the podcasting world as well. Talking about it isn't necessarily the easiest medium to use. Video tends to have more visualization so you can see what's happening, but I think there's merit there to having conversations about hobby.
Okay.
And then sometimes we have 5 weeks in a month. Sometimes we have scenarios. I think June actually will be one of those where there will be a 5th scenario. And that on those months where there's 5 weeks, we're going to have basically your questions, which is, taking questions from the fans and answering them. We've done them in the past where we just had like a Q&A with us of what's going on, what's going on in our personal life, what questions people have that they want to ask and stuff like that. So we'll kind of use those oddball months where there's 5 Fridays in the month, 5 Tuesdays in a month in order to answer your questions. And for those astutely paying attention, list, understanding, community, and keep painting, or keep, acronyms out to luck, because God knows we all need luck to get through this game sometimes. And then sometimes when we get a 5th week, we're lucky, because there's your questions. It's cute. I know. Shut up.
God, you kill me sometimes.
Leave me to my own devices.
That is such a dad joke.
I'm still over here chuckling about Gaston.
It's Tunny. I don't want to hear it. He calls me Toad Dark all the damn time. I want to punch him in the throat.
He does.
What people don't know is that Kevin and Gaston are actually the same person. It's just like a bipolar switch thing. That's why they're never on at the same time.
Oh my God, that's so true. I don't think we've ever had a cast that both of them have been on at the same time. And they're always like, oh, I'm talking to Kevin. Oh, I'm talking to Herman. Yep, you're just talking to yourself in the shower.
So would you say that the two of us combined, Herman and myself, Kevin, the two of us combined would be heaven?
No, I would not say that. I would say more like a fungus.
Tony's like, fuck no.
But, yeah, so as I had mentioned earlier, we have 42 days.
As I mentioned earlier, crack.
Yeah, we have 42.
42 days until lock and load, and something I was definitely interested in, and I wanted to hear if the listeners were interested, is that I want to record our usual Friday podcast while at lock and load.
Okay.
And possibly have, guests like listeners who will be at lock and load have the possibility to come on and be part of the cast, even if for a few minutes, or just get a chance to talk and be a part of, our weekly episode while I am in Seattle.
So what you're saying is you're putting a call out. Does anybody want to secretly come back to your room to do a recording?
Yeah, anyone want to do a recording, room, quote unquote?
We could just step into the bathroom.
This just got people are tapping toes underneath the stalls. This is just going bad real quickly.
Or the best ever.
My idea was, with the Malbauer Center being so large and having so many open hallways and stuff, especially up where the painting area is, I was interested in basically doing when we do our Friday podcast during Lock and Load, actually recording it instead of me going up to the hotel room, basically finding a side area and then basically just recording it. And if people want to stop by and just say, hey, on turn extension, or ask a question to us in more person than just sending it to us, I just thought that would be kind of interesting.
I think that would be actually really nice, especially if they get really close to you while they're talking and make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we going to have a repeat where somebody's sitting on somebody's lap?
Hey, yeah, that was magical, okay?
Yeah, magical.
I mean,
I'm sure that's how he described it.
Do it at Mox's. We could even do it at Mox's boarding house.
I'm gonna miss Mox's boarding house.
I legit was trying to pull a lot of strings to get to Lock and Load because Devin was like, hey, I've got floor space if you need it.
Damn it.
But it's just financially I wasn't able to pull it off this year. I will miss the ability of going to Mox. I'll miss all the cool things that happen in Lock and Load. I will miss the opportunity of looking at somebody's new Grimkin models and going, that's new Grimkin? Cool. And then sweeping it off the table and stomping on it endlessly.
Dude, I keep going back and forth now. I kind of want to buy Grimkin again.
Trenchers. Focus.
I know. And that's really what it is. I have to focus on the trenchers.
Damn it, Tony.
Well, there might be a situation where there might be a time at some point during Lock and Load where I might be sending tons of money over to Devin via PayPal or something just to pick up a model.
When Siege 2 goes on pre-order.
Dude, if Siege 2 is actually there, I will legitimately sell my left testicle.
You heard it here, folks. Left testicles going on sale 42 days. Okay? I'm going to hold you to that.
So if I pay for your Siege 2, do I get to kick the left testicle anytime I want since I technically own it?
No, that would be awful.
You said I would own your left testicle, and if it's my property, I can do with it what I want.
I said I would legit sell it. I didn't say how much or if I would actually sell it, who I would sell it to. I still have the right of the seller to determine who I can sell it to.
You need to go back to Signar because you are the worst Signar lawyer in the world. You clearly did not advocate the Corvus Belli Treaty.
Oh, I know.
I know. It, man. I'm sorry. That testicle is open pride.
All right. Well, I think that's a cast for us this week.
Yeah. All right.
Give us your feedback. What do you think about kind of having a weekly structure? Do you like us just rambling for hours on end, or would you like a little structure in our lives?
And not to mention the lucky system doesn't have to be something we do every month. We could have a month where we just ramble, and then the next month we stick to the lucky schedule.
I am a Menite now. You will follow the rules and laws set before you. Lucky all the time.
All right, guys. So with that, I want to thank everyone.
One time I'm going to choose to be Signar and ignore all the rules.
I'm trying to do my goddamn exit, you son of a bitch. I hate you all. All right, guys. With that, thank you for listening to another episode of Turn Extension.
Have a good night.
See you, everybody.